part of our park today. We'll ride around our beautiful African savanna and forest habitat for about 25 to 30 minutes. If you have a medical emergency during that time, there's a yellow strip we placed on the ceiling. It says emergency strip up there. You can stand up, press and hold it if you need medical attention. Please do not do so if you happen to drop something over the side. Not a medical emergency. We have a different procedure for that. Pay attention to where your item fell overboard, and we'll send another vehicle out to pick it up. If you don't find the fancy yellow strip, welcome to the premium seating section, everybody right behind me. I can see you in my rear view mirror, or you can even reach my window. Look at those people over there in front of the red umbrella on the right-hand side. They're looking at something. Do you know what they're looking at? Could it be Willow, a yellow lab? Or maybe an animal that lives with Willow. We have a South African cheetah named Bayati that always hangs out with beautiful Willow. A South African cheetah with over 300 spots on his body. And it looks like, if you look at the faces of the people, that's where Bayati might be. Looks like Bayati's on the move. Let's see if we can find her. No? Maybe? We do get another chance. When we return towards the tram station, so don't forget, she's worthy of a look.
That's so cute. Just like a dog.
They're moving. Why can't we see each other? Oh, one more try. The view is even better on the left-hand side. You can see something. You can see into our beautiful fields of the East African savanna habitat. The animals move around the habitat with the ability to be in different places at different times, and that's exactly how they would navigate around the savannas in search of food, constantly migrating. You'll find giraffe and fringe-eared oryx. You'll find Nile lechwe off in the distance, and even some impala. With the insectivores on your left, known as the East African crowned crane, they are equipped with beaks that are sharp and the size of your pointer fingers for extracting beetles and bugs from beneath the mud and the grass of the savanna habitat. They are named for those beautiful crowns of feathers which help to camouflage them in the nests they build in the tall grasses on the savanna floor. As we pass the crowned crane, along the wall you'll see some of the grasses growing. So for a minute, think about them sitting down in the middle of that tuft of grass. Their crowns of feathers look like the grass flowers on top and keep them camouflaged.
Wow, those are awful pretty ones.
We're going to talk about what animals eat and how they can get the food and where they find it. With that in mind, you've got greater flamingo on your right, hiding that famous flamingo pink on the underside of their wings. Imperative for life on the salt marshes where they call home. Blending into the salt marshes is important. Keeping cool on them is extremely important. It can reach temperatures so extreme the water and mud beneath the marshes may even boil. And that is where the flamingo find their food. They are filter feeders. They access the food by navigating into the water. Their legs allow them to get to the deepest part, stomp their feet and release microorganisms and crustaceans into the water column. Scooping them up in their beak, their upper bill is shaped like a slotted spoon, allowing water to drain out but capturing the food behind. The right-hand side of the African tram today, you'll meet our very handsome man known as a South African Southern White Rhinoceros, Mr. J. Gregory. By all means, before he boogies out of sight, stand up and take a look at him on the passenger side. Look to the right and then look to the left of the habitat. He's navigating down towards the shade of the rock surrounding the last tree at the bottom of the hill. It's important for rhinos to seek out shade. Their skin is very delicate. It's prone to sunburn and it's even prone to scratches and bug bites. Which is why the southern white rhinos and rhinos protect their skin by rolling around in the mud or seeking out shade. Jay Gregory weighs over 5,000 pounds and stands 6 feet tall approximately at the shoulders. He carries quite a bit of his massive weight in his strong upper body, neck, head, shoulders. His head is so big, he really doesn't lift it very high off the ground. To find food, his lips have developed to be wide and flat, allowing him to graze on African savanna floors. Well, Jay doesn't live by himself. That specialized habitat behind the front of this enclosure is known as the Nikita Rhino Rescue Center. In the Nikita Rhino Rescue Center, Jay is one of 9 southern white rhinos participating in a rhino surrogacy and reproduction study. The population of southern white rhinoceros in the world is 18,000 animals. They are considered an endangered species, but they are here to help a rhino species known as the northern white rhinoceros. Unfortunately, the northern white rhino population is considered functionally extinct, with only 2 remaining. Their ages prevent them from carrying pregnancies. They are both female, they are mother and daughter, and they reside in Africa. We're hoping that one of our southern white rhinos in our Nikita Rhino Rescue Center can carry a pregnancy on behalf of the northern white rhinoceros and bring them back from the very brink of extinction. As a nonprofit organization with a humble beginning over 50 years ago, we now can be found in over 6 continents around the world, and we partner with 8 global conservation hubs. You can find the safari park in Australia, in Hawaii, in the Amazon and the Asian rainforest, in the African forest and the African savannas. Don't be surprised, but you can find the safari park operating in every ocean on the planet. And the largest hub of focus that we have right here in Southern California is not our zoo or our safari park. It's a part of our safari park, the largest piece of our conservation puzzle here. One of the partners we often work with on a regular basis is Vulpro, an organization in Africa rescuing endangered and injured vultures. If you look to your right, you'll find just one of those birds who came from Africa. You see the big white vulture laying in the grass? And her wing is kind of stuck out a little forward. She looks like she's resting it away from her body. Well, she can't bring it into her body. She flew into a power line. She broke her wing. She would have passed away, but Vulpro rescued her and brought her to the San Diego Safari Park, and she is an intricate part of our breeding and population restoration project. Right next to her are 3 beautiful Rupel's vultures. And living in our bird marsh home, you'll find yellow-billed stork and spoon-billed stork. All of those birds have specialized beaks. They're all carnivorous, and their beaks are either, like the vulture, meant for ripping and tearing into flesh, or for penetrating deep into the grasses and mud, or for skimming the surface of the water. Vultures are known as the cleanup crew of Africa, but the population in Africa is declining due to those power lines, poaching, and poisons. Cleanup crew. If they are eating animals that have been poisoned, then the vultures are poisoned. They have digestive systems so strong they can take care of anthrax, tuberculosis, and rabies, but not poison. We're looking at over 65 acres of South African savanna. You'll find the animals here survive by migrating following seasonal rains. Ooh, the crow got a mouse. So look up in the middle of the habitat. We've got Thompson gazelle, we've got Ellipson waterbuck, and we've got Cape buffalo. 3 different sizes of animals, 3 different habitats, and 3 different places to find their food, but all requiring some or quite a bit or none at all migration. Who requires none at all or very little? The waterbuck in the middle. They have shaggy coats and long fur protecting the glands in their throat, secreting oil to give them a protection against all of the water in which they're exposed. They're able to swim, to eat food along the water's edges or under the water. The darker of the Ellipson waterbuck with the horns on his head is the dominant male. The female don't have any horns because the food that they eat, they don't have a lot of competition for. They're a specialized feeder with their diet of food in the water. The springbok and the beautiful buffalo will migrate along with many of the other hooved animals of Africa, following those seasonal rains, enjoying grasses from below, shrubs, bushes, or if they're lucky, they can reach up into the tree canopies and browse on what's available above. The gemsbok antelope have some of my favorite horns. We're passing them on the left. Their horns are elongated through the black and white stripes that continue down under their eyes and tie into their face masks. But notice the placement of those horns on their heads. Way at the top, in between the ears, right in the center. So they're not going to be able to interlock their horns unless their heads are parallel to the ground, protecting the horns from breaking off. To interlock them, you'll find the antelope have rings, grooves, or notches. And it's an intentional interlocking. They even can be found kneeling down on their elbows to protect their horns while they interlock them with the horns of another. When food is scarce and there needs to be competition for it, whether you're male or female, and you migrate for your food, you're going to have a set of horns to protect your coveted feeding ground. Well, I found our browsers of the savannah, our tower of Maasai giraffe. The tallest giraffe in our park is a Maasai giraffe. You can find him easily if you look for the animal with the darkest spots. His name is Goan, and he's about 18 feet tall. Otherwise, you can be a Maasai giraffe and reach average heights between 15 and 17 feet tall. They are very efficient with their digestion. They need to be. It helps them to survive in between meals. They have 4 chambers in their stomach. They are all ruminating animals. They're equipped for reaching into the tree canopies with their height and their long prehensile tongue. If you're lucky, you can watch this young girl next to us stick her tongue in and out of her mouth a few times. She's ruminating some of the food she's eaten earlier. Through rumination, the giraffe can move the food from the chambers in their stomach 1, 2, 3, 4. And every time they move the food, they get to chew it again. Another opportunity to extract additional nutrients.
Ready? This is a photo of you.
The process of rumination for a giraffe can be done as much as 23 hours a day. To understand exactly how large the giraffe are, back to our male, go on over there in the shadows. If you are 6 feet tall, I said you'd be the same height of that rhino we met, Jay Gregory, but you'd also be able to walk directly underneath go on without even ducking. If you look down to your left, you'll catch a glimpse of our black rhino. This is Kendi. He's been spending a lot of his late afternoons and evenings out on habitat, so he knows it's time for him to go out and play. Eastern black rhinos are very different than southern white. You'll find them in the forests. They're not social, they're solitary. And they can eat from the tree canopies with the ability to lift their heads high up in the air. So take a look at who he's anxiously waiting to see. This is our female. Her name is Ariel. Specifically look at Ariel's mouth. Look at her upper lip. Get a good look at it. It comes to a bit of a point. It's prehensile and allows her to pluck leaves off of the trees she can eat from above as a browser. She's about 5 feet tall and 3,300 pounds.
She's skinny.
As you look at the hillsides of the forest habitat, you'll find our bachelor grubby zebra and a roan antelope. Those grubby zebra are the largest of the zebra species. They have thin pinstripes close together, closer than any other. And they have one distinguishing feature that no other zebra has. They are the only zebra with rounded ears. They're amongst a population of zebra said to have about 3,000 animals left in the wild. We've got roan antelope on the right-hand side also. These are the female. They share their habitat with some smaller red lechwe and red-fronted gazelle. You can see them all along the fence line and on the roadsides. With life in the forest, there's less need for migration, food readily available, less need for competition for it. But the roan are opportunistic and can be found in the savanna habitat as well as within the forest. If you're new to visiting the zoo or the safari park, being an 1,800-acre facility, that's a little hard to understand the sheer size. What we're looking at, if you add everything on the left to everything on the right, well, Disneyland would fit here. So would the whole San Diego Zoo and her parking lot. That's only 100 acres. All of these local mountains that surround our park, like a picture frame, they're our largest hub of focus right here in the continental United States. California coastal sage scrub and chaparral surrounding our park is the #1 fastest disappearing natural habitat in the continental United States. Specialized, biodiverse, with animals and plants that aren't found anywhere else in the world. The safari park protects that land. Oh look, right hand side. And the animals who live there. You see the mule deer? You guys are lucky, it's that time of day when they come down out of the habitat to eat on the grass that is growing along the side of the tram route. Encourage our guests to continue to ride the tram, different times of the day, different times of the year, different seasons of weather you'll experience, bring out different behaviors with the animals. With their long prehensile tongues, the giraffe of Africa prefer to eat the thorny African acacia. On my driver's side, I've stopped in front of a thorny African acacia. It's visible out my driver's window, straight up. So when your part of the tram gets there, take a look at it. A long prehensile tongue, a bony palate on the roof of their mouth. They're capable of grinding even the bark of the tree, all of the leaves up on the roof of their mouth to a pulp to begin that digestive process.
I'm sure there are probably like different types of sharks, but the one that really does it not so like the really massive axes.
Oh, look at the Cape Buffalo. We've talked a little bit about camouflage and blending in, but the Cape Buffalo are the opposite. They are dark in color and large in size and are ominous in appearance and reputation. They are known as some of the most protective parents in all of Africa, and they're hyper vigilant, acting as a mob mentality. So let's watch them for a minute. Notice their ears start to flick and twitch. Their tails will twitch and flick. See what happens. The longer we sit here, the more tails, the more ears. It's like a code, like a sign language for Cape Buffalo. They may look like they're ignoring a predator. They may look like they're not paying attention to us. But indeed, they're hyper-vigilant. They know exactly where we are and that they are being watched.
Look at that one.
If something was to try and make a meal of a Cape Buffalo, every Cape Buffalo would come to defense of the animal attempted to be singled out. And 9 times out of 10, Cape Buffalo prevail. By migrating, they till the soil, they collect seeds in their coats, redistribute them, for the next seasonal rain. Giraffe are not the only animals capable of browsing in the tree canopies. Our beautiful Patterson eland are very capable. And if you stand up, see if you're capable at finding the little Eland calf that's just 4 days old. Can you find it?
Right there.
Take a look at the ring of rocks surrounding the two closest trees to the tram, and just to the left of one of those rings of rocks, tucked in plain sight in the grass, is a little honey-colored lump. That is our 4-day-old Patterson eland. She just moved her head. Look. And there's an adult antelope who will just leave their babies like that for hours and hours and hours. And provided the babies stay very still, they look to a predator as part of the habitat. That cinnamon coat is their camouflage. Remember the giraffe chewing their food and ruminating? You might find some eland busy doing that also. They weigh for the girls, which these all are, about 1,300 pounds, have horns on their heads, specialized in shape. They're twisted and as long as the length of your entire arm from your shoulder to the tip of your middle finger. The male eland have smaller horns and a larger body, up to 2,000 pounds, but the females use their horns to bend branches down by twisting the horns into branches. They need the extra nutrition for milk production for the calves and to wean them when the time comes. When they are not browsing in the tree canopies, the grasses once again growing alongside of the tram would be your eland's favorite food. Able to go into thick patches of this grass where many other antelope would not dare go. But the eland have a secret weapon, their size and their little marks. There's one eland standing up with black lines on her elbows on her front legs. They're even with her eyes while she's grazing. That allows them to keep track of each other even in some very dangerous, thick, tall grass. Those marks are known as follow me marks. Our two front doors, for being allies for wildlife and supporting our worldwide non-profit organization. This Mother's Day marks our 50th birthday. Anybody here the first day the mark over by chance? I see one hand. If you look at mine, there's now 2. Anyone else? 3. You were? Were you a gleam in someone's eye, young lady? Perhaps you were.
The first year.
We've got a teeny tiny in our tower. You look at the giraffe and I'll watch for the cheetah if he's over there. I'll tell you if I see him. And I don't right now. Oh, yes, I do. There's Beatty. Take a look in the shadows, you guys.
Yes, under the tree.
To the left of the lab.
Oh, the dogs.
Look how beautiful Beate is and how well Beate camouflages and how alert Beate is, staring over the African savannah. You'll all be able to take a closer look at Beate if you exit the tram and you make a left-hand turn. You'll find them. Let's go say goodbye to these beautiful giraffes. And our teeny tiny Miss Sutini, born in the end of January.
Oh, she's over there. Oh.
Back there, Johnny, that's a baby.
To be allies for wildlife from home is very easy. You can give back to Wild Watch Kenya and the conservation project following the migration of giraffes by looking at the images their trail cameras capture. Very easy. And you can be an ally for wildlife. If our very own conservation and breeding effort for the burrowing owl closer to home is more your style, Wild Watch Burrowing Owl would be happy to have your assistance. My name again is Mara. I hope you learned a little bit something you might not have heard before. Enjoy the rest of your stay in our beautiful